What I will do is just introduce myself. I'm Gordon Nelson. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm the Scotland Director for the Federation of Master Builders. Today's building conference, Building for Success, is both an in-person event taking place in London and also live streamed around the UK, with various sessions taking place purely online, including this afternoon's sessions, the first of which we were looking forward to welcome McKee MSP, the Scottish Government Minister for this Trade, Tourism and Enterprise. The session today will focus upon partnering for success, the relationship between the Scottish Government and the construction industry. In fact, the Minister's just joined us. A very warm welcome to you, Minister, for joining us this afternoon. Just introducing everyone, I'm Gordon Nelson, the Scotland Director of the Federation of Master Builders. And I was just explaining that this conference is part of our building conference taking place in person in London, but also live streaming sessions around the different nations of the UK here this afternoon. Just for delegates, you can please post questions in the chat. And once the Minister's finished, I will run through the questions and pose them to the Minister. A little bit of introduction about the Minister from his biography. Ivan has been the member of the Scottish Parliament for Glasgow Province since 2016. Brought up in Glasgow, he obtained a BSc in Building Engineering and Manufacturing Sciences from the University of Strathclyde and an MBA from Newcastle University. And before entering politics, he managed businesses in Scotland, England, Poland, Finland, Croatia and Bosnia. And Ms McKee has chaired the Construction Leadership Forum for the last year or so, and we're very welcome. He has a very keen interest in construction matters. That includes my introduction. I'll briefly share my screen just to introduce the Minister. A very warm welcome to everyone, and I'd like to hand over to our keynote speaker, the Minister for Business, Trade and Tourism and Enterprise, Mr. Ivan McKee MSP. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gordon, for the invitation to speak today at the conference, and it's a real pleasure to be on camera with you, virtually, if not physically, and to support a conference run by valued partners in our collaborative work. I'd like to thank you, Gordon, personally for chairing the Compliance Plan Working Group and for taking on the role of critical friend as we roll out the pilot Building Standards Hub, helping drive greater consistency amongst local authorities and compliance with building standards. Today it's a real pleasure to share my thoughts on the relationship between the Scottish Government and the construction industry, and to highlight some of the successes of this partnership. Firstly, though, of course, I must mention the current challenging economic climate that we're all operating in at the moment. The UK faces a rapidly escalating emergency that goes beyond simply the cost of living, and it's now a more general cost of everything crisis. Construction in particular, of course, is faced by increased costs of materials and labour shortages, and we're seeing dramatic rises in the cost of fuel and inflation. And we're working closely with the construction industry and housing partners to mitigate this where possible, and we operate a flexible grant system which can take account of increased costs. The affordable housing sector continues to show signs of recovery, with completions having risen by 17% compared to the previous year to June 2021. However, we are aware of the global issues affecting construction, which are impacting affordable housing delivery. We as the Scottish Government will continue to collaborate with all of our partners to achieve our shared goal of delivering more affordable homes for Scotland. And more widely, as businesses come under pressure, we have in place an existing package of financial reliefs worth over £800 million, and this includes the UK's most generous small business bonus scheme. We have launched a cost of living website as a trustworthy online resource with information on the wide range of vital support available to help with cost of living pressures. And we are doing all we can with our limited resources as a Scottish Government to support the sector and the economy. The Scottish Government Emergency Budget Review announced a further £615 million savings have been identified, on top of £560 million savings announced in September, so a total of £1.175 billion. And this additional funding will be used to provide a range of further support in response to the cost crisis. And we're providing much needed support to those struggling with fuel poverty, including more than £330 million allocated to heat, energy efficiency and fuel poverty measures in this financial year, including £119 million targeted at fuel poor households, making homes warmer and cheaper to heat, and progressing commitments to decarbonising the heating in 1 million homes by 2030, and to remove poor energy efficiency as a driver of fuel poverty. Both areas, of course, where the construction sector has a key role to play. We've launched a new winter heating payment, a reliable annual payment for 400,000 low-income households, backed by £20 million annual investment beginning this winter. And we've doubled the fuel insecurity fund to £20 million, helping households on any fuel type that are at risk of severely rationing their energy use or self-disconnecting entirely. So we are committed to supporting industry and businesses through this difficult time. And while we're doing what we can, many of the levers, of course, to impact the crisis are currently reserved to the Westminster government. So the UK government's energy bill relief scheme may limit the impact of the energy price crisis on some businesses. This announcement, we believe, has come too late for many businesses across Scotland who are already struggling to pay bills. And we're calling on the UK government to provide urgent clarity on support beyond next April, so that businesses have the certainty and security they need to operate with confidence. We're working closely with the construction sector through the Construction Leadership Forum to monitor and address issues relating to the sector as they arise. In particular, in order to further address and mitigate cost challenges, the Scottish Government has issued a number of guidance measures for public sector bodies when they are procuring and managing their construction projects. This guidance and more is available either through construction policy notices and also through the client guide to construction projects, which is available on the Scottish Government website. And this guide aims to provide public sector construction clients with the information necessary to allow them to become intelligent clients and to make the right decisions at the right time to ensure the delivery of high quality outputs and outcomes. The guide will continue to be developed with further chapters being added in due course, and we'll also be publishing our best practice guidance on retention later this year. As some of you will know, the Construction Leadership Forum, the CLF, which I chair, is our main forum for collaborative working between the Scottish Government and the construction industry. And since the CLF was established in March of 2019, it's made significant progress within the Scottish construction sector. During the pandemic, it worked to successfully restart the construction industry in Scotland by developing and implementing the Construction Recovery Plan. And I was pleased to see how enthusiastically the industry responded and engaged with us to develop the plan, which we launched in October of 2020. The collaboration during this time was outstanding, and we are encouraging continuation of this very important momentum. FMB is, of course, a member of the Construction Industry Collective Voice, CICV, a proactive coalition of 29 industry trade organisations that's closely working with the Scottish Government as we move towards transforming the industry. The contributions and support received from CICV and its members was particularly welcome throughout the pandemic by providing help and advice to small businesses on how to operate safely in people's homes. And I very much hope the FMB and your members will continue to engage with the Construction Leadership Forum and CICV as we look to the future transformation of the sector. Partnership working throughout has laid a solid foundation to transform the industry and paved the way to the most recent success of the Leadership Forum, the Construction Accord, which was officially launched on the 13th of October this year and is the next step in the transformation of the construction sector. And I'm proud to say that this is the first of its kind in the UK. The Accord delivers on the commitment we made in our programme for government in 2020. It's a shared vision for the industry and the public sector, which embeds key principles such as fair work, diversity, inclusion, and net zero. It is a set of values and principles which underpins the future development and transformation of the construction industry as an integral and vibrant part of the Scottish economy. The construction sector is, of course, vital for Scotland's economy, employing over 130,000 people and playing a key role in delivering Scotland's just transition to net zero. So this sector-wide accord has a real commitment to delivering change aligned with our national strategy for economic transformation. As a major investor in infrastructure, the Scottish Government has a strategic role to play in ensuring the industry is fit for the future and can meet infrastructure delivery challenges. So to ensure that construction remains a viable contributor to our economy, the Construction Accord heralds a commitment from industry and the public sector to work together to transform the sector for the good of the industry, the economy and the country. Some of the initial priority work areas are based around reforming construction procurement, building workforce capacity, capability and diversity, and improving fair work. Other important aspects of the accord include the commitment to delivering a net zero carbon industry and built environment, where we will work to increase update of digital technologies and modern methods of construction. So I'm grateful for FMB and CICV's continued support and active contribution in the development of the accord, which has been led by Scottish Futures Trust and Construction Scotland. And I invite industry members to come together and participate in this vision. Through the Leadership Forum, government and industry will now work together to develop a transformation plan to deliver the commitments in the accord. And the next phase will very much be one of action and of delivery. The Scottish Government provided funding for the recovery plan, supporting the sector with significant resources. And as we move to transformation, it's time for us to pool resources and invest collectively in our own future. This leads me on to talk about the CLF network that has just recently been established. The network is an opportunity for the wider construction industry and built environment to have their say and input to the work streams of the Construction Leadership Forum. If you would like to be part of driving transformational change within the sector, you can join the network via the CLF website. And the Leadership Forum is committed to improving diversity, and it's there for specifically encouraging women, LGBT+, ethnic minorities, disabled people, and other disadvantaged groups working in the sector to get involved. In addition to the Accord and the CLF network, there has been a variety of other achievements that are making a positive impact on businesses operating in the sector. In response to the call for pipeline visibility, the CLF launched the Construction Pipeline tool in July of 2021. Businesses can now access details of more than 1,500 future projects from 45 Scottish public bodies. We now have a data dashboard giving businesses access to collated, accurate data on key areas such as economic contribution, productivity, gender balance, and health and safety across the sector. This is giving industry an evidence base to inform decision-making, investment, and future policy making. In order to upskill and reskill the industry, a suite of continuing professional development modules is now also available. Modules include digital construction, building a net zero environment with a focus on retrofitting, and a course on timber technologies and innovation. In keeping with the theme of improving skills within the sector, the Leadership Forum have also launched the Built Environment Workforce Development Portal. This is a skills directory that provides a breakdown of reskilling and upskilling courses by theme, programme type, and region to allow users to search for training opportunities across Scotland. It's helping construction businesses, especially SMEs, to search easily for training and development opportunities within the sector at all skills level. And finally, I must mention the National Construction Equity and Inclusion Plan, developed by the Leadership Forum and published just in September. It's a very important purpose to drive towards greater inclusivity and equality. And aligned with the Scottish Government's National Strategy for Economic Transformation, the plan identifies 6 strategic objectives covering areas such as leadership, knowledge transfer, data, education, recruitment, and engagement within the construction sector. Implementation of the plan will be carried out as part of the Industry Transformation Plan. So as I mentioned, our focus is turning to transformation of the sector. Transformational change is needed across the industry to prepare for the new decarbonisation workload, constructing and refurbishing assets to meet net zero targets in a resource efficient way. The next 10 years have been labelled the decisive decade, and every country is facing fundamental choices about how to recover from the pandemic, build a net zero economy, and embrace ever rapidly evolving new technologies. By the end of that period, by 2032, we want Scotland to be a well-being economy thriving across economic, social and environmental dimensions. And our national strategy details our extensive commitment to the development of the built environment in a sustainable and inclusive way. It outlines how we will tackle the long-term structural challenges, building on our economic strengths, and position Scotland to maximise the greatest economic opportunities over the next 10 years. Deep retrofit of existing buildings, embracing low carbon and low energy construction materials, and modern methods of construction are foundation to delivering these goals. I know I share this vision with many FMB members here today, and I hope you will continue to collaborate both with us in the Scottish Government and with other members of the industry in order to meet the challenges of the coming decade. Embracing fair work will be an important part of this collaboration and transformation activity. We know that the construction sector will need to recruit more employees to meet demand. And we also unfortunately know that construction is not always people's first choice career, and we all need to work together to overcome those unfortunate negative perceptions. Embedding a fair work culture and upskilling the workforce are both key factors in attracting people to work in the sector and for a successful digital transformation of the industry. These are needed across the range and scale of design, manufacturing, construction and maintenance activities to deliver a decarbonised built environment and to do so fairly. You may be aware that the Fair Work Convention carried out an in-depth inquiry into the construction industry in Scotland, and their report was published earlier this year. We are currently working through the recommendations from that report, which are very much in line with our ambitions for the sector, and we need to work together at pace to deliver on those ambitions. So in closing, thank you very much for the opportunity to share just some of the ways in which the construction sector engages and delivers in Scotland. The achievements delivered so far demonstrate the power of the Scottish Government and private sector working together. Collaboration can help to reduce both risk and costs for businesses on their net zero journey. And there will also, of course, be significant opportunities for growth along the way. By looking at the whole life costs of projects and not just capital costs, we intend to use public sector buying power and smarter procurement to help drive change. But of course, government and its agencies can only effect change in partnership with the industry. So we need you to actively engage with this ambitious agenda and collaborate with us in the wider industry through the Construction Leadership Forum. This is your chance to be connected with the knowledge, resources and infrastructure to influence and help achieve our shared vision. Across the globe, construction is the foundation on which economies are built, and now's the time for Scotland to build our future. The FMB and its members are vital delivery partners for this ambitious agenda, and I would encourage you all to engage with the work of the Construction Leadership Forum and be part of the success of the construction sector in Scotland now and in the future. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Minister. I think also that for delegates joining this stream around the UK, it provides a welcome insight into how the Scottish Government through the Construction Leadership Forum engages with industry. You mentioned, of course, the restart, getting industry back working again after the lockdowns as a result of the pandemic. And of course, recently, of course, you mentioned the Equity and Inclusion Plan, and indeed that whole area, and also the knock-on impact of making the construction industry, whatever career pathways, whatever size or scale of business, more attractive to the next generation is critical. It comes up in conversations every time I have with our members, whether they be in Shetland or Dumfries and Galloway or elsewhere. It's an absolutely huge piece of work, and indeed the lack of diversity of the workforce is well noted. In our case in Scotland, we're fortunate through more through the election process than anything else, that of our Scotland board made up of members, 20 20% are females. Now, of course, that is nowhere near where we need to be, but a lot further where the average is across the industry. Whether you look at trade skills, where about 2% of the workforce is female, or indeed non-trade roles, I think it's about 15%, depending which area you specifically look at. A long way to go, but I've certainly found in my role that having more of a diverse voice at the Scotland board level has helped challenge some of our thinking, fresh ideas, and look at things more inclusively, for want of a better term. Very encouraged what you say, that it's vital that the FMB and our members across Scotland continue to engage with the Construction Leadership Forum, and indeed we currently work with the Construction Industry Collective Voice, which is a forum of trade and professional bodies, which was born in the pandemic in March 2020, where we worked collaboratively together much more effectively than we had done in the past to voice the concerns our collective members has, to get engaged more effectively with government, and to share more data and insight into what the issues are affecting particularly construction SMEs around Scotland. So that's a bit of a summary of some of your key points and messages from your presentation. I do have a couple of questions, a couple have come through. One sort of touches on what you've already mentioned, and the question really is, how does the Scottish Government plan to engage with SMEs and wider industry to make the construction accord, which you eloquently described, vision a reality?
Yeah, great question, and it's hugely important that all parts of the sector are engaged with this process. And to be honest with you, I'll look at the sector. It's a sector that has a very wide and varied set of businesses that are working within it, and reaching out and engaging all of them is hugely important. We've tried to do that through the membership of the Construction Leadership Forum, the CLF network, which we're establishing, gives companies and organisations the opportunities to hear about the CLF's work and get involved, and encourage businesses large and particularly small to get involved through that process. And of course, interested employers and industry members can sign up for that network through the CLF website and through our social media channels. So I think if everyone can have a look at that and take that forward and communicate that message, that would be really, really helpful. And of course, we're working in collaboration with many trade associations across the sector, and through CICV, whose members include, of course, many SMEs as well as larger companies from a broad spectrum of trades and professional services across the sector. So as I say, it's a very wide and varied sector, but we're committed to reaching out and engaging with all parts of it, and particularly with those smaller businesses that might not otherwise have a route into the work that's ongoing at government and policy level.
Well, thank you, Minister. And one question which I'll just sort of preface with, this morning we held a Devolved Nations Retrofit Roundtable with panellists from Wales, Northern Ireland and Scotland, just looking at the big challenge and opportunity of reducing the heat demand, particularly of our homes, but also our buildings around the nations, and what's going on at a level within Wales, Northern Ireland and Scotland, and the challenges of decarbonising our building stock. So that is a very interesting discussion which will be available online the weeks to come. But the questions come in sort of related to that, but not directly on topic. But the question is, where can construction businesses themselves find support to decarbonise their own business rather than looking at homes and buildings? Thank you.
No, that's a great question. So yeah, first of all, on the broader net zero journey, it's a multifaceted challenge that we face. It ties in with fuel poverty. It's clearly supporting families to bring their residential properties up to spec, both to address the energy cost crisis as well as the net zero agenda. Is something that within the Scottish Government has got huge focus with a government minister working on that, but none of that, of course, is going to happen without the construction sector delivering it. In terms of the technology advancements in our Construction Innovation Centre, BEST is right at the forefront of that, and the sector itself doing the hard yards to make sure that retrofit happens in an effective way. But you're right, of course, also to mention that businesses themselves will want to take part in that journey and decarbonise their own activities. So from a Scottish Government perspective and our agencies, we're very focused on that. Scottish Government have got a dedicated team of sustainability specialists to provide support on the practical measures that businesses can take to improve their environmental performance and their journey to net zero. So that's about business efficiency, developing sustainable strategies, and addressing energy use. So information on all of that can be found on the Scottish Enterprise website, and we can forward the link on that if anyone would like to follow up on that. And obviously, of course, going back to what I said earlier, if businesses are engaged through the Leadership Forum network and through other channels, we disseminate that information, advice, and those contact points through the network and elsewhere, so that businesses can keep up to date with all of those net zero developments and to avail themselves of the support that's available in that regard.
Well, thank you, Minister. I think we've got time for one more brief question before I join Dr. Stephen Garvin, who's hosting a session shortly on building standards compliance, how it's done in Scotland, just keen to extol some of the virtues of our current system within Scotland to colleagues around the UK. But the question is actually really on your background prior to politics. Given you mentioned the cost of living crisis and economic challenges of inflation, what advice would you give, given your business background, to construction businesses seeking to survive and thrive the challenging circumstances at the moment?
Yeah, I think, I mean, I can say, based on my previous manufacturing experience, where, as you can imagine, faced some very challenging times in some of the businesses I was involved in running and turning around, as you can imagine. Clearly, businesses will do what they need to do to get their cost base into shape. But I think looking at the opportunities alongside that is hugely important part of coming through this. And one thing about the environment we're in just now is that there are plenty of opportunities. Technology is driving that, digitization is driving it. The net zero transition, of course, is driving that. There are plenty of opportunities there and new market niches that will be coming along. So I think if businesses have absolutely got one eye on the opportunities that they can exploit as a consequence of that, and I think that to a large part is the key to thriving and surviving, and innovation a key part of that. We're about to publish our innovation strategy in Scotland, and I don't pretend that government's got all the answers, but we are absolutely committed to working with businesses in all sectors to support them taking up new technology, innovative processes, and understanding and having visibility of new market opportunities.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Minister, for joining us this afternoon, for sharing your knowledge and insights onto the construction sector, how it engages with the Scottish Government. A lot of work to be done on both on the within industry side and also the public sector and other players across industry. And on behalf of the FMB and myself, looking forward to working with yourself and your team, as well as continuing our engagement through the Construction Industry Collective Voice and other contacts of mine within industry over the coming months and years ahead. Certainly challenging times, but as you summarised there are some opportunities. The question of looking to exploit those opportunities as a business in order to survive and to thrive. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our session with our keynote speaker, Ivan McKee, Scottish Government Minister for Business, Trade, Tourism, Enterprise. The session has been recorded. It will be available for on-demand viewing in a week or so's time. I'd like to thank everyone for their attendance, the Minister's team for their support, and I look forward to welcoming you, if you can make it, to join Dr. Stephen Garvin for the next session on building standards and compliance, how it's done in Scotland. But for now, thank you for joining us and good afternoon.